Hello everyone, I'm Marcelo Palermo, this is Epic News, and today we have the pleasure to be interviewing Mrs. Yvonne Rosales. He's running for DA, District Attorney of El Paso. Yvonne, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Marcelo. Thank you for inviting me and having me here today.
It is a pleasure to us, and actually, we are in the second round, and the second round just started.
That's right.
I would like to hear about your platform, because you're very close to become the next DA, and people should know that and more.
Well, part of my platform is to aggressively prosecute animal cruelty cases. Studies show that somebody who abuses an animal is more prone to commit domestic violence. Secondly, I would like to implement a mental health unit within the DA's office, so anybody who commits a nonviolent offense and is suffering from a mental illness such as bipolar or PTSD, that instead of criminalizing them, we try to work with them and help them get the mental health that they need. El Paso has a huge military community, and a lot of these men and women suffer from PTSD. So I would rather have them get the necessary help in order to get better, and then allow them to be productive members of our community.
For those who don't know, PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. Something that many people coming back from war zones, in the military of course, and civilians as well, suffer from. Now, Yvonne, in 2016, you were actually the first person to give Mr. Esparza, Jaime Esparza, the current DA who is actually retiring, a run for his money. You almost won. And you almost became the first woman in El Paso to hold that position, the DA position.
Right.
It might happen right now. I know that you're running against Mr. Montoya, Jaime Montoya, but people perceive Mr. Montoya as kind of a continuation of Mr. Esparza. Do you agree with that statement?
I do. James is only 29 years old, has only been licensed for 6 years, and the DA's office is the only job he's ever held. I, on the other hand, have been a licensed attorney for 20 years. I worked as a prosecutor for several years, and then I went out into private practice, and I've been practicing criminal defense for the last 15 years. So I think experience, not just as being an attorney who's worked on both sides of the fence, so to speak, but also managing your own law firm is something that makes me more qualified than Mr. Montoya to take over the DA's office.
It is fair to say that if somebody wants a continuation of Mr. Esparza's tenure as a DA, should vote for Mr. Montoya, and who wants to change should vote for you?
Absolutely, that's a fair assessment. If that is the only job Mr. Montoya has ever known, then we can't expect that he would have different ideals and policies, whereas my experience working as a prosecutor and a defense attorney makes me more well-rounded. I've been trained by different people and have had the opportunity to learn different philosophies, and it's a difference in philosophy that I want to bring into the office.
This year is going to be, or this election actually is going to be very particular. When we're talking about the district attorney of El Paso's election, it's a pivotal position for two reasons. First of all, well, the pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic actually got us into this runoff, into this second round on late June, early July. The second round is going to go in between June 29 all the way to July 11, and then on July 14, we have the election day. But it was supposed to be held on May.
That's correct. But then the pandemic hit, so everything got postponed.
Exactly. Now, the other thing is that a main point here is the Patrick Crucius case. For those who don't remember, and I'm talking about people all over the world, of course, El Paso does remember. How wouldn't we? This person came driving all the way 9 hours from the outskirts of Dallas to El Paso, to a Walmart on the east side, opened fire with a machine gun, and the result was 23 people dead. He's under custody, and one of the things that concerns the most to people are more concerned about is this case and how it's going to evolve or being carried. What do you have to say to them?
Well, I anticipate with the delay of the jury trials because of the pandemic that this case will probably not head to trial at least for another 2 years, is my expectation. In addition, we need to know whether the federal government is going to proceed first or they're going to allow us, the DA's office, to handle the case and go to trial first.
Correct.
So those are different considerations. But we'll be ready if I do win this election, or when I do on July 14th. I'm going to approach Mr. Esparza quickly and ask him if he would grant me access to the files and start reviewing them and start picking my team. I want to pick a team of the most qualified attorneys within the office who have at least 10 years of experience or more and who have tried these homicide cases, these murder cases, just so that we can be on the same page on how we want to proceed. It's a very tragic event. We need to discuss with the families and the victims of the case whether they would want to go through a second trial, depending if the federal government went first or if we go first, right?
Now, so that will be one of the first things you will do should you be elected the next district attorney.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that we start looking at those volumes of cases, the reports, the evidence, and start getting my team prepared to prosecute that case.
Okay. Leaving aside now the very important and pivotal Patrick Crucial's case and the tragedy that was unfortunately that we experienced here in El Paso as a community. What are the other things that you think need to be taken care of urgently at the district attorney's office once you get there, if you get elected?
We also have to make sure that we have a well-qualified team put in place to handle Deputy Herrera's murder.
Yeah.
That's another important case that's coming down the pike. And also, we just need to reform the policies that are currently in place in the DA's office. I want to make sure that we have transparency in government. That's been a huge platform of mine, where we are communicating with the public what's happening within our office. I want the public to know that I would like to have perhaps quarterly open invites where you guys can come in and talk to me, share your concerns of what's going on in the community. I'd like to develop our websites and our Facebook page so that we can give updates, working with the police department, give statistics to the public, you know, how we've made progress with the office and the caseload. And just overall, just having this open communication with the public. I want to be more involved. I want to be out there, more visible, so that everyone can feel comfortable coming up to me, Ms. Rosales, let me tell you my concerns as a community member.
Correct.
I want people to feel comfortable talking to me.
So, communications, media marketing will be main thing for you.
They're going to be huge, yes. When I've been talking to the members of this community, they feel that Mr. Esparza and his administration have been very isolated, that they're very hard to reach out to. I definitely want to change that dynamic and make sure that the public feels that I, as a public servant, the elected official, the people that, you know, that I am working for, that they feel that they can come and talk to me whenever they have a concern.
Perfect. Well, lastly, to wrap this interview up, Mrs. Rosales, I would like you to invite people to vote. We are in time, and we have like around, 14, 15, 16 days, right?
Yes, the Elections Department now has 2 weeks of early voting. It started today, June 29th, and will run through July 10th, and Election Day will be July 14th. If you have any questions on where to vote, you can go to elpasovotes.com. And they have the sites available. You can also visit my Facebook page. We have posted the the times and the locations where you can go cast your early voting. Please don't let this pandemic keep you from having a voice in who your next elected officials will be. The Elections Department has done a wonderful job to make sure that they are going to impose the 6 feet social distancing. They're going to have the sanitizing wipes. They're going to have disposable stylus so you don't have to touch the machines. They're doing everything to make sure that you are safe when you're casting your vote.
Perfect. And as you know, this is it. Because come November, she runs, she will be unopposed. I mean, this is pretty much it. The person who wins this election, either Mrs. Rosales or Mr. Montoya will be the next district attorney of El Paso. So, yeah, go out there and vote. Thank you very much, Yvonne Rosales.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon again.
For our victory party.
There we go. For Epic News, this is Marcelo Palermo. Remember, this is news, information, formation, entertainment, editorializing, TV, radio, and social media, the smart, intelligent way. Thank you for being with us.